Hey guys, so this is my Draw My Life video, and it was a very difficult video for me to make. As you will see, my childhood was not exactly an easy one, so please be positive. I'm not doing this for pity or anything. I just want to raise awareness for foster children and anxiety, and that, you know, sometimes not everything is good in this world, but you can survive it. So, enjoy the video. This is my mom, Terry, and my dad, Neil. On June 13th, 1987, a month and a half prematurely, my mom gave birth to me. They were ecstatic to have a baby girl, and I soon, very quickly, became daddy's girl and did everything with my dad. Things quickly changed, however, when my mom gave birth to my brother, Chad. I was so upset that I didn't talk to my parents for 2 weeks, and apparently this was only the beginning of some of my behavioral issues. At 3 years old, my parents decided they were no longer very happy together, and they separated and ended up divorcing. This struck me very hard as a child. I didn't understand why mommy and daddy weren't together anymore, and all I wanted was to be with my dad. My mom was a single mother for many years, and we lived in this hideous green apartment. Just her, my brother Chad, and, of course, me. But again, things quickly changed when I was about 7 or 8 years old. My mom met my now stepdad, Brian, and he moved into our lives. And yes, his glasses are really that thick and hideous. But our life didn't stay very happy for very long. Me and my brother were always at odds, and I had a ton of behavioral issues. I was very unhappy. I was always scared. I was sad. I was lonely. I was told I was a bad kid. I had all these behavioral issues, and I was struggling at school. My mom tried many things to help, but nothing seemed to work. So one day, a few people came over to our house and asked me some questions. I don't remember much about this, but all I remember was that they said, "Did you want to come with us?" And not understanding what this question meant as a child, I said yes. At the age of 9, I was placed into a foster home. I don't remember much about my first foster mom, but I remember she used to ask me to call her grandma, and I lived with her and her granddaughter for quite a while. It wasn't too bad. She was very nice and treated me like her own grandchild, and we used to go out to Dairy Queen all the time. About a year later, I was reunited with my mom and my brother, and of course, Brian. Things had changed a little bit, and Brian was living with us, so I didn't adjust fairly well to that change. But for a while, we were quite happy. Again, things didn't stay very happy for long. My behavioral issues got worse, and my mom called some people and said she needs help. Please help her. And of course, this led to some issues, and I was again surrendered to Children's Aid. I was very sad. I was very confused. I didn't understand why it was happening again. Why was it me? Why wasn't it my brother? I just looked at it as they took me away again, and I didn't know what I did wrong. I went to live with a very nice family. My foster father, Brian, was from England, and I thought he was the coolest thing. They had 2 twins and another foster sister that I lived with, and they were all up for adoption. It was a very confusing time for me because the littlest was also called Melissa. I didn't fit in very well, though, and I struggled more in school. I didn't do very well, but after about a year of being in foster care, my biological mom and my stepdad decided that it would be time to get a family pet, and maybe that this would help me transition back into my family home, and they got us a rabbit named Snickers, and I affectionately called him Snee. Snee was many things to me. He was a best friend, but most importantly, he sparked my decision to enter into veterinary medicine. It was always something that I had been interested in, but he really fueled that passion and made it the utmost decision of what I wanted to be when I grew up. Sadly, things did not work out, and I suffered from so many negative emotions. And my mom decided that she couldn't cope with it, and she decided that I could not come back and live with her. So after my time with my foster parents were done, I went to go live with my dad in the US. My dad had remarried, and I now had a stepmom named Colette. Unfortunately, nobody was happy because my behavior was out of control. Nobody could handle it. I couldn't handle it. I was always so fearful. I was having panic attacks. I was doing well in school, but unfortunately nothing else was good. So one day my parents packed the car. All four of them met at the Children's Aid building, and they just left me there with my stuff. My world was turned upside down. My whole world went black. I was so confused and so lost. They asked me if I wanted to say goodbye, and I said no. I didn't talk to my parents for a while. I ended up going back to my foster home where I lived with Norma and Brian, but I suffered anxiety, fear, depression, and ended up using suicidal threats. This led my foster mom to be very anxious with young kids in the house, and she got on the phone with my social worker and made a call and said she really needs help. And of course, this again led to them packing up the car, and this time we drove really, really far away to a big red brick building. It had bars in the window. Everything about it terrified me. But I saw a dog, and I ran out of the car, and I was then a resident at Ardencourt Children's Residence. While here, I suffered many negative things. I was forced to be medicated, I was abused, I was lied to, I wasn't allowed to speak my native language. They were very strict, but they gave me volunteer opportunities in the animal field, and I discovered my love for training dogs. After about a year of being at their board schooling, I graduated to be able to attend a community public school called Charlotte Lake. Here, I was very happy. I did fairly well in school, although I struggled with getting homework done. But I met my music teacher and my band teacher, who are married, and they became the closest thing that I had to my family, and I called them my mama and papa. This was amazing because I started playing my flute again. I also picked up several other different instruments, trying to learn how to play guitar, trumpet, and saxophone. I joined the band and discovered my love for music, and eventually became the band president. This led to many different changes in my life, and I didn't enjoy all of them. One of them, unfortunately, was that my family was called into court because I was in CAS for so long. My parents gave custody of me to Children's Aid, and I became what is known as a Crown Ward. This was a horrible time in my life. Afterwards, I also became a foster resident at a foster home to a foster mom and a dad who had 2 children of their own, and I had a foster brother. This was where things got really bad for me. I suffered at the hands of my foster mom, and I was abused mentally, verbally, and physically. I was neglected, and I was forced into basically slavery. I had to clean the house and It was horrible, but I didn't have it the worst. My small foster brother suffered from mental illness and quite often would pitch fits. My foster mom would pick him up and lock him out of the house regardless of what he was wearing, whether he was naked or attired properly for the weather. I was so sad and upset about everything that happened to not just me but my foster mom that I ran away. I called my biological mom, who I'd been kept in contact with, and said help. Brian came to pick me up, and at 17 years old, after such a fight, I was finally reunited with my family. I went back to go live with my mom, my now stepdad, and my brother Chad. We also had Snee, and now we had a family dog named Sparky. At this point, my Crown wardship was terminated, and I attended a normal community school and made tons of friends. I joined the drama program, and I had a great time, but unfortunately, at that time, I was diagnosed with PTSD, panic disorder, general anxiety disorder stemming from my premature birth, and trust issues. I struggled a lot with this in my young adult life, and it led to many consequences, including job loss, illness, and me dropping out of college several times. It wasn't an easy time in my life, and I still struggle with these things, but I moved to Ottawa and tried to make a new start. And thankfully, after about a year here, I met the love of my life, Gary. We're still together, and we've been together for almost 4 years now. I'm telling you this story because I want to prove that there is always hope. That just because everything is dark, that love will prevail and conquer all. In my current day, I am now in university, studying to become a veterinarian. I am doing my pre-med at Carleton University. I have one of the most amazing men ever in my life. And I have a great family of 2 bunnies, Twix, Pop-Tart, and we have a cat, Sir Pounce, and we have a little one on the way. We're not too sure if it's a boy or a girl, but it will be our puppy Finnegan, or we're not sure if it's a girl, what we will name her. But she or he will be our service dog that we were working to, and we're sharing our life on YouTube with you guys to give you guys hope and prove that anything is possible. Keep on hopping, guys. Have a good night.